Hi everyone, I wanted to make a quick video today on how to calculate eBay profit or your net sales from eBay or what another person is netting from eBay and the reason why this formula matters. So first thing I wanted to show you is the formula I'm going to use. X minus 0.129x minus 0.3 minus, and you can actually call this Z, equals Y. Ignore the number here, but this little facet right here will matter in a moment. So to show you how this formula applies and what it means, that's the total price charged, or the price paid by the buyer, minus 10% of the fees. eBay charges 10%, and then fees to PayPal 2.9% and a 30-cent base charge, and that should equal your net amount received before shipping. Before shipping costs. So that formula right there can be described as x minus 0.1x minus 0.29x minus 0.3 minus z equals y. X equals the total paid by the buyer, y equals the net received by the seller, and z equals the shipping costs. More simply or concisely put, you can combine these two elements right here, since they're both based off of x. X minus 0.129x minus 0.3 minus z equals y. And again, we can ignore that. WolframAlpha.com. It is a computational knowledge engine. It basically allows you to punch in mathematical formulas. It'll give you a line graph, other forms of graphs as well, and charts, and it'll give you the answer as long as you plug in everything right. And a quick tip on plugging in things right, I'll give you a short example here. Let's say you had an item that sold for $5. It's sold for $5, so X equals 5. Okay, so let's see what you would actually net before shipping and everything. $4 and about, call it 6 cents before shipping. Now, what if I took that X when I plugged it in and I didn't capitalize it, but the other side before the semicolon was all capitalized? It's not going to give you an answer. It's going to make the answer relative. So you basically have to plug in more data. It wastes your time. So make sure when you use Wolfram Alpha that if it's all caps, it's all caps. If it's all not capitalized, then none of it can be capitalized. Make sure you got to use consistent variables when you do your notation. Anyway, but that's just math. So WolframAlpha.com, you can use that as a calculator. And when you want to calculate what the price needs to be charged for a given net amount, let's say you've got, I don't know, a 1 ounce gold coin. So this 1 ounce gold coin right now, an ounce of gold from atmex.com, they will pay $13.67.60. So let's say I wanted to net at least spot value, $13.67. Or, well, that's actually more than spot. There's a small premium there, but let's say I wanted to net $13.67. Actual spot right now is something like $13.52 or 55. I would take the question mark right here. I have a semicolon, x minus 0.129x minus 0.3 minus z equals y, and y equals, and I replace that question mark with the amount given. So I've replaced this with $13.67, call it. And then the z with the shipping costs. Let's say it cost me $10 to ship it. And so I go over here to Wolfram Alpha and I punch that in. I want y, the net amount, not the amount paid, not x. Y equals $13.67. And let's say z is going to end up being like $10. My shipping costs are $10. If I had to sell this coin on eBay, this coin right here, a 1 ounce gold eagle, assuming I pay, not a seller store, this guy's got 3,500 feedback, he's probably got some kind of a reduced final fee rate. If I had a standard store, just a standard account, I would have to charge $1,581.29. Assuming it cost me $10 to ship it, I had no gas cost, no other cost in selling it or anything. That's just to end up with exactly a total amount received of $13.67, and of course, that does not consider what the IRS will take from you, if anything at all. They may or may not. Ignore these numbers. But on this page. But that's the point of plugging in this little semicolon and y equals that. So to calculate what any given seller would net for a given price, you would put x equals whatever, not y equals whatever. And that'll give you the total price paid by the buyer to calculate what any seller would net. So let's say this coin right here. Assume that this seller didn't have a store. Just pretend for a moment. He probably does. So assume that this guy is selling a gold eagle, 1 ounce gold eagle, 1 ounce, for $1,407. Let's pretend he has to pay all the standard fees and everything. He probably doesn't. 1407. X equals 1407. And let's say, oh, he's giving free shipping. So I'm going to have to remove whatever that is, the shipping costs. He would walk away with $1,225 before shipping. Now, of course, shipping, it's going to cost him $10 or whatever, $20 if he's insuring it and everything. It's probably going to, he might do UPS. It'll be more expensive. Maybe, I don't know. But you get the point. He would not even walk away with, if he had a standard account, the same amount that APMEX would pay him. And APMEX right here, that $13.67 and 60-cent figure, you do have to do a certain minimum sale price, I think. Sometimes I think when you're on the phone with them, you can. I think there's some negotiation. I'm not 100% on that, but this does change every 30 seconds or whatever. So I would say that you do have to pay for your own shipping, to say the least. And I bring up the whole haggling part because there's a $10,000 minimum and whatever. But typically, if you're on the phone with them, there's a $1,000 minimum, and I think that's where they'll actually hold it for you. This price right here, I think. Don't hold my feet to the fire on that, but I'm pretty sure if you call them up that I think they'll pay it. You can call them up yourself if you don't think I'm right. APMEX.com. And they're not the only people in the world who buy your gold coins. You can go to plenty of other places. But anyway, the reason why this formula matters is that it's important to know what the net amount is, because different markets will pay you different amounts. And dealers tend to pay under spot most of the time. Some pay full spot. But collectors or investors typically almost always pay full spot or around it. If the deal is right, like the coin's not damaged or whatever. So why should you sell something on eBay for less or overpay for anything, whether you're buying or selling, when this formula right here can help you avoid any bad deal? If somebody tries to sell you something and compares their asking price, this is a common thing I come across, some nonsense from people. This is why this formula is so useful. If somebody asks for cash the same price, 100% of an eBay price, before fees and shipping, and they go, oh, I don't know, I've got a $3,000 item. I saw it on eBay for $3,000. Give me $3,000. That's what it's worth. No. Let's say it's a large and bulky item. So Z is, I don't know, $55 because it's going to cost at least $50, $60 to ship the thing. So X equals 3,000. It's a very expensive item. $3,000 item. It costs $55 to ship it. They would walk away with only $2,557. They would lose $450 roughly, give or take. That doesn't factor in gas costs of driving to and from the post office, the cost of shipping materials. That's only the cost of postage itself, not like packing material, any boxes you use, or anything else that goes or is involved with actually properly packing the item or items. And so that's another reason why Z can go up, is if it's not just one thing that's $3,000, but it's 100 things that are all $30. Well, you get the point. Z can get larger and larger and larger. So anyway, but this is a common problem that I personally come across, where somebody's got something, oh, I saw it on eBay for $500. Give me 500. Or very rarely, they'll be kind. They'll go, oh, well, I'm not going to ask for a full eBay. Just give me $490 or $480. They don't realize, let's say it's a small item. It's a small item, costs only, $7 to ship it, $6. $6 to ship an item, but it's valuable. It's $500 on eBay. They're not lying about that. $500 item on eBay that costs $6 to ship. You're only going to walk away with like $430, roughly $429. And so if you're trying to make a profit, this is the number you have to work with. is this is what you could actually end up selling something for net amount. This is the eBay price paid by the buyer, X, and Y is the amount received by the seller. And that's why Z, this shipping amount, you have to change it every time depending on the quantity, the weight, and everything. So anyway, but this is a useful formula. I would certainly advise becoming familiar with this. It's very simple as well. It's only, you know, basic math here. Become familiar with WolframAlpha, and make sure that when you become familiar, use the semicolon right here. The entire purpose of this formula, here's the reason why you have it. Let's say I didn't have this formula and I had to just punch in at Google every single time I wanted to go, okay, I got a $500 item. I'm going to lose 10% of that to eBay. I'm going to lose 2.9% to PayPal, and I'm going to lose another 30 cents to PayPal. And if it's a free shipping item, then I got to lose the $6 in shipping. You have to plug that in every single time. It's just a whole waste of time. So if you're doing a large volume of items, or you're looking up, this is very useful if you're scrolling through a lot of these items on here and you're trying to figure out, okay, if you had an item somebody was trying to offer to sell to you, or a large list of items, and you had to give an answer fairly quickly, you're short on time. This formula helps you cut down on search time, because all you got to do with this formula is change one single part, this highlighted part right here, and maybe the X becomes Y or whatever. And so that's the whole point, is that this is a very useful formula if you have to do lots of math quickly. You don't have time to continually punch in numbers. So very useful if you had to, let's say somebody's got a large coin collection and he's got a whole list of prices. He'll break it up. He'll sell you one or two or a few. He won't make you buy everything. And so you're trying to figure out, okay, what here is worth reselling? And he knows you're a dealer, or he's okay with you making a profit, or whatever you're doing. If you're looking at the list and you're not sure of 50% of what he's got on his list of $80,000 worth of coins, or $800 worth of coins, you're trying to figure out what's worth buying, you know. That's the advantage of this formula. So hope I hammered that point in. Beyond that, I would also say that even if you're not selling or reselling or a dealer or whatever, if you're just an owner, just a long-term investor, somebody who, let's say you bought one of these Gold Eagles 5, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, even though this is 2011, they've been making these since the 80s. If you're trying to sell one of these things and you want to know how to get the most money, well, this formula right here will tell you. eBay on a $1,407 item, just to be competitive, you can't you can't really make the most money from here. Oh, whoops, my bad. Had that little negative sign there. Got to remove that. It's hard to net the most money. And so in order to profit, just spot value. Spot value right now, $13.52, according to AppMex right here. So let's say you wanted to net $13.52. It's hard to be competitive on eBay, because this is what you'd have to end up charging, and you'd be competing with guys like this. You'd be charging $1,552 for an ounce of gold. I mean, that's crazy high. $1,550, call it. You're never going to sell that thing unless gold ticks up so high. And then if gold goes higher, well, then you're not going to net anymore. You're only going to net, you know, $13.52. So if you had it at a buy it now price and free shipping and whatever, or this doesn't even consider shipping. You'd have to actually, let's say it costs you $20 to ship the thing. It's going to cost you an extra $20. I mean, see, $23 you'd have to charge. And the reason why it's not just an extra 20 is because eBay takes a percentage of the shipping itself. So you actually, it's not like your shipping gets any lower. They take a percentage of the shipping. See how I only added $20 to the total price paid by the buyer, but you have to charge disproportionately more than that just to remain at the same level. And so it's crazy. They don't. The reason eBay does that is because there are people who, they'll take a $1,400 coin, and instead of doing free shipping, they'll charge $500 for shipping and $900 for the coin. And if eBay, say, people were saying, oh well, shipping shouldn't take any percentage out of that. It's not like it's getting cheaper for the seller. Well, that's the reason why they charge a percentage on the shipping as well, is because that kind of gets rid of that. Kind of gets rid of people trying to hide a profit in the shipping, and so that's the reason they do it. You can argue about if that's moral or not, but either way, eBay's got to have their insurance mechanisms because they have so many billions of transactions or whatever, millions a day. Anyway, but yeah, this is certainly a useful formula. Open up like an open office document or Word or whatever. Save this, save WolframAlpha, and certainly want to keep in mind that semicolon and the y equals or x equals, that is something very useful to keep a note of, because that way you don't have to keep plugging in each one individually. I hope that helps. I hope this video helps you out. Thanks for watching.